Basketball.
It's time to strap in and get ready. The Insight NBA team is in the arena, bringing you the ultimate play-by-play on who's hot and who's not to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now hooping with your hosts, Matty G, Skitty, and Mally for the Insight NBA show.
G'day everyone and welcome to the All-Star Weekend in Fantasyland. This is time to put our fingers together like this. Kingy, is it not? And just plot and scheme because we've got no basketball for 5 days apart from some form of game that might be competitive. It might not be. And who cares?
Pretty much from a fantasy perspective, no one cares. Hopefully it just gives some players a bit of time to rest and we can get some healthy lineups back on the court after the All-Star break.
Yeah, injuries absolutely decimating most fantasy managers this season. It's been a bloody pain in the ass, to be honest, but this is a brand new thing. We've got some special guests coming up over the course of the next week for a little game show that I am calling Grab or Go. The idea, Kingy, and you and I spoke about this, 5 guys you either want to grab or let go from your roster. What are the 5 moves you must make? Now, it works 2 ways, doesn't it? Like, you've got these guys you want to get your hands on, or you want to get these guys off your roster. But I think the important conversation to have, Kingy, is we also need to be aware of those guys who people are trying to move out of their rosters and why they're moving them out of their rosters and trying to trade them to us in the first place.
Yeah, I think so. You need to, you need to be across everything. And if you get a trade offer and it seems too good to be true, maybe just take 30 seconds to have a look at why this trade is coming through to you, and vice versa. Hope that if you make a trade or offer a trade to someone, they don't take 30 seconds to have a look at why you're making that trade.
It is a tale of 2 coins, and it's good to be across everything. But again, they don't have to be marginalized. Like, you don't have to just instantly, again, my gut reaction is I say no, and then I think about it. But if they send a message, reach out to them as well. Like, I think the thing that's not done a lot is people talk about it. Like, why are you offering this? Like, what are you after? And you have a look like, oh, I need this. Like, for instance, in one league, I need a center right now. AD's gone down. So that's a focus for mine on the trade. That makes sense. If I'm getting back what that person wants to give me or what I need, and I'm willing to give more than it takes, you take the overs, especially if it's going to help you get wins at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's right. It's all about winning, especially at this time of the season. Little things count, as they always say, for this. I mean, playoffs, for a lot of people, playoffs could start in 2 weeks, maybe. I think most of my leagues start in 2 or 3, something like that. So we're very close.
We are, and the good thing is right now, this is like the last week window. Generally, after All-Star Weekend, by the end of this week, your window is, I know in the industry pickup, it's the 19th. So it's next week we've got, like midway next week. So this is the time that we want to be making these trades or bringing these people in. And one guy who you have got on your grab list is Donte DiVincenzo, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Why is he making your list, Kingy?
Well, I think he's fairly close to a return. We don't really have an update. There's obviously a bit of risk when you target any of these injured players because we're working on assumptions only. So I think that he will be back very soon after the All-Star break. And just prior to going down, he was playing quite clearly the best basketball of the season for him. I've got his numbers here. 28, 13, 27, 12, 10, 15, 5, 12. So he was scoring. He was getting assists. He was getting steals. Basically, he was doing what he was doing in New York, not to the same level as last season, but this is sort of what we expected from him to start the season, and he was just terrible. So I think the Wolves are I don't think we'd get into an argument if I said they've been pretty underwhelming this season.
Underwhelming. And injury depleted lately. Mike Conley in and out of the lineup recently. Julius Randle has now been out for a substantial amount of time as well. So it's this new envisionment they had of making it back to the Western Conference Finals. It seems like just a very faded dream at this point.
It does, and they're on the court at the moment, but they've lost. They've lost 4 of their last 7. They're thereabouts. They were looking better, then they've lost a few, so it's up and down. And Mike Conley is just pretty washed, I think, at this point. He's not the player he once was. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is not the answer. So they just need DiVincenzo on the floor. And so I think as soon as he is healthy and ready to go, he will slot straight back in as the starter. It might not be the first game or second game. They'll ramp him up a little bit. But once he's going, I think he'll be the starter. And we can probably expect to see numbers that put him firmly inside the top 100 to end the season. And that's a player that can be valuable.
And in Yahoo leagues, he is 53% owned currently, and he's gone down 1% in the last 24 hours as well, which also tells you that owners are being frustrated by the no updates. But the update does fit the timeline about just after the All-Star break, and these 2 weeks are very, very valuable. They're very valuable because you might have 2 games prior to the break, 3 games prior to the break for some teams. And then after the break, there might be another 2. There's 5 games generally over the course of the 2-week section in fantasy. For most teams, no one tops out at 6. So this is the time that's really good, like you said earlier, where we can get these guys back from injuries. And we hear the term so often, returning after the All-Star break. And it's very in that week after the All-Star break, and then teams ramp up after this one. Another guy who's made it to your go and grab list and who is widely available in leagues as well is one Mr. Day'Ron Sharpe from the Brooklyn Nets. This guy has been playing very, very well, Kingy, of late, and he is well and truly on your radar.
Yeah, he is, and I talked about him, and I think, did you talk about him as well on Dan Desperous's show? Yeah, so we're both pretty high on him. He hasn't stepped into that role that we were hoping he would following the trade deadline because they didn't move anyone for whatever reason. But he's still thereabouts. He's playing, his minutes the last few games, 15, 19, 17, 16, 20. So he's in that sort of 15 to 20-minute range. And over the last, the last 2 weeks in 17 minutes a game, he's a top 120 player. So if we go down and look at per 36 stats, which obviously I don't think he's going to play 36 minutes a night, but over the last 2 weeks, he's the 7th ranked player in per 36. So he's putting up numbers in limited minutes. Now, Nick Claxton is actually playing pretty well at the moment.
He is.
Which probably slows this trajectory down somewhat, but I still like to think that the Nets at some point will get Day'Ron Sharpe in as a starter, or at least limit Claxton to like 20 minutes a night. And I feel like there's an injury just around the corner for Claxton. He's been healthy for, a few weeks, which is pretty good for him.
And this is where he was an honorable mention as well on the Sell High show, because he is playing really well. He's playing, again, like a lot of these guys, they've been ramping up earlier on. He was washed. People didn't like him. There was injuries. Like, what have I done? And doing the head scratching. He's improved dramatically the last 2 weeks, month, which is, you would say, cap the potential for Day'Ron Sharpe to take that leap that he needs, like you mentioned. And I guess it's somewhere between the lie and the truth. Is the lie that he can't be playing this low minutes. So 15 and 10 minutes back on the 29th of January, 10 minutes was the lowest that he has seen in the past fortnight. I think the truth is somewhere between these 23-minute games that we get down from him, where his instant double-double off the bench can generally hit free throws well. This 23, 25-minute upside is what we're looking for. It's that 12 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals, 1 block, or 1 steal, 2 blocks is what he can give you. And those stocks on really, let's be honest, elite percentages for a big man is what we're like just salivating. And he's only 5% off rostered in Yahoo leagues as well, which means no one's really just getting on the train and going toot Day'Ron.
No, not yet. And that's understandable. He's not, he's just not playing enough. So if you go and look at player ranks and sort by minutes played and things, he's not at the top of those lists. But as I said, he's top 120 over the last 2 weeks. And you said we don't need 30 minutes. All we want is 25. So even a minute split would be enough to make him a top 100 player. So he is still somewhat of a stash, but he's doing enough that you can hold him on the back end of your bench and throw him in when he's active. And he'll give you some defensive stats. He'll give you some rebounds. He'll be efficient. So he'll do just enough that you don't have to drop him. And then the hope is that in 2 weeks, a month, whatever, those minutes ramp up to 24, maybe 28. I mean, if we hit 30, God, I'd be celebrating.
Who would you love more? Markel, Mary Boff Kill, Dayron Sharpe, Markel Fultz, Dyson Daniels. I'm giving you a very emotional one right here.
It is very emotional.
For you, it's a lot.
Yeah. I think Dyson's at the top of my... I think Dyson is who I'd be marrying. He's just been so good this year. And so I feel like he's my biggest win this year. Fultz, great to see him back. Dayron Sharpe, just hoping. I don't think Fultz has actually played today, which
he hasn't. He's got no minutes. They're at halftime now. 5-point difference between them and the Pelicans. And yet to get some minutes from him. But Trey Murphy had 4 points, and then he's just gone on a run. Now he's at 11, 3, and 7, and he's made only one of his last free throws, and he's shooting horribly today as well. So another big Trey Murphy game could possibly be on the horizon for us today.
Yes, I hope so. I was watching that game actually just before we got on. And yes, he was. I knew that he had 5, 6 assists, so he's got 7 now. So that's interesting.
Now, tell me about this next guy, because this is a big, interesting one. He is a player that does divide. We know that he loves his food over in Portland. It is one Scoot Henderson. You want to grab him. And of all of our players today, Kingy, he has been the player dropped the most with his injury in leagues. In fact, he has gone down dramatically in his ownership, which means the time to grab him is now. He has been dropped 9% in the past 24 hours, down to 36% ownership. This is a big drop-off, and this is your time to strike on Scoot Henderson.
It is, yeah. I mean, I put him in here as someone to target in a trade, but obviously you might just be able to get him for free off the waiver wire based on those numbers. Yeah, look, I think it is, because he is out at the moment with an ankle injury, but it didn't look that bad. I don't think this is going to cost him significant time after the break. I think he'll be back fairly soon, if not straight away. DeAndre Ayton's obviously done for, potentially the season. Not that they share a role or anything like that, but DeAndre Ayton
was playing well. He was playing well, and
he was playing well, and he is more of a feature on the offensive end than Donovan Clingan. So with Clingan in there, they're not going to use him as much offensively, which means they need more scoring. Jeremy Grant has already gone into his March slumber, so who knows if he's going to play anymore or if he's done. We really don't know.
He's like Michael Bublé at Christmas time. It's like, where's your Jeremy Grant? He's like, oh no, I'll wake up in October. What month is it? February? Oh yeah, I'm going to be in the cave napping.
He is. That's right. He's hibernating until next season. So he could. I don't think he's done. There's no indication that he's done. But I just think the path is starting to open up for Scoot. It's been pretty frustrating the last month because he's started some games, then he's played 25 minutes off the bench. And I understand why people are dropping him, because I dropped him this morning, but that was in a 7-team league. So it's very shallow. So I'll be able to pick him back up again.
9% of leagues, though, this is a dramatic drop. This is people chasing, and it's weird as well, because we are about to see the last game here. So he was ruled out against the Wednesday matchup. People have had to respond in kind to that matchup against the Nuggets yesterday. They've rested now. It just seems like with no back-to-back set for him and not playing today, it was like, you know what? I'll take that loss of this one. I might lose the week, but it's just also showing that managers in many leagues are desperate to get the wins with the playoffs looming. So they need to make these decisions like, do I keep Scoot? Do I bench Scoot? But this is almost Scoot's season. So he would be one you're inclined, but 9% that's a lot of managers across 10, 12, and even potentially 14-team leagues that have dropped this guy.
Yeah, it is. And I think, as you said, this is it. We've got a week now with no game. So if you've got moves up your sleeve heading into assuming your league combined the 2 weeks into one, which most league settings have done, I would just go and grab Scoot and throw him straight into your IR spot if you've got some flexibility there, because we could come out of the All-Star break and he's starting and playing 30 minutes a night, and then we're good to go on him. So there's a little bit of risk given it's the Blazers and we haven't really had an update on the injury, but it didn't look too severe. It didn't look like the Brandon Ingram one, where his leg fell off.
This is very true. We don't like legs falling off. Do we also like, talking of Brandon Ingram, one of his teammates, well, former teammates, I could say, Zion Williamson, has made your let go list. And this is a guy that, again, that you want to move off your roster. He is owned in 98% of Yahoo rosters. Kingy, you think it is time to ship off the big fella from the Pelicans?
I do. I think that the Pelicans are probably headed, well, not probably, they are headed for lottery balls. They're currently in the bottom 3, so there's no incentive to run him out there, especially given that they don't have DeJounte Murray. That's obviously a pairing they'd like to build on, but they don't have DeJounte, so why push Zion? I'm not saying he gets shut down, because I do think that they want to get reps into him. He's just missed so much time throughout his career that I don't think he's going to be shut down unless he gets injured or the hamstring flares up or something like that. But he's been very good the last little bit. Don't look at rank, because we know with a player like Zion, rank is not representative of his value. But over the last 2 weeks, 26.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.6 steals, 62% from the line. Free throws are bad. Threes are bad. We know that. But he's doing everything that we expect of him. And the defense has been there. The blocks, not so much, but the steals have been almost elite. If we look at
he's been bullying people for the ball too. Like, he's been going for them. Like, he's been just using his frame for it. And you're right, the free throws are concerning, especially on the volume that he has been taking. Over the past month, he's been taking 7.8 free throws a game. The last 2 weeks, almost 9 at 8.8 a game. And he's hitting 650. So we're talking I'm not going to say, look, I know it just sounds bad to say Rudy Gobert numbers, but they're Rudy Gobert adjacent. It's like they share a small Slovenian country area. Like, oh yeah, that's Rudy's over there. And you can see that his free throws have declined over his past 3 seasons, from 715 back in 2022, gone down to 702, and a career worst 649 on the year. So everything has regressed. Field goal percentage has gone down. Free throw percentage has gone down. So like you said, it's about Zion getting reps, but it's also at hitting those free throws when he does get to the line so much. So he's a perfect guy that maybe you could send a last-minute trade out for if you're in a punt free throws build. He has more appeal to you, especially if the team that owns him, he's tanking that. And he will tank this on many, many teams. So this is where he becomes more of a actually, that's my build. Let me see what I can get Zion for. Like, hey, man, I've got a guy, top 40-ish player, top 50-ish player maybe, that's got a name. And you can package it in, bring Zion, helps your build out, gets rid of a guy who's actually doing a disservice to that team. And it's a win-win for both managers. And you get someone like this. But again, you are worried that he gets shut down.
Yeah. And so I do think you want to look to move off him, but I also am very aware that he's probably one of the hardest players to move in fantasy because of the injury history. And it's very well documented. Everyone is aware. But, I mean, he's not playing today, second night of a back-to-back. So you're going to have to sell him to anyone under the assumption that he's not playing back-to-back. So that's makes it hard in itself. But outside of tonight's missed game, he'd played in 8 of the last 9 games, and he'd scored significant points in all of them. He's not playing 30-plus minutes, but he's playing 28, 27 a night, and that's enough. So I think if you could move Zion for any top 40 player, you go as high as you can. If you can move him for a top 30, sure, but you're not going to be able to do that.
You're sending out multiple offers. You're sending out multiple offers saying, you're saying why, like, hey, man, Zion fits your build. You're punting free throws, obviously. Look for those who own the Yannis and the Goberts in the world and see what's going on. Look, he's been freaking elite. 8 of the last, but he's so injured. It's like, man, it's a back-to-back. He doesn't play him. They only have 4 or 5 more for the rest of the year. But look at the minutes, as you said, 28, 26, 28. 40-point game in there kind of makes you like, oh, really? So you're getting points, you're getting the rebounds, you're getting the assists, you're getting the steals, but you need to make sure, like you said, you're getting that top 40 player back. Like a Jalen Brunson type, someone like that. This is the ballpark kind of, even though Brunson hasn't been anywhere near that lately, we know that he can be that lately and generally hits straps after the All-Star break. So Maybe this is where you go and hunt that elite point guard out there for a guy like Zion, and it could work out best for both. Your free throw percentage is going to be a lot better. Your field goal percentage will be a lot worse. Sure. But you're still going to get those points, the assists, and some steals in there, but you're not going to hurt that one category that you end up losing because Zion's on your team.
Yeah, and I think you can even use the fact that he's playing 28 minutes to your advantage, because you can say, well, they're not pushing him. They're managing him so that he can stay healthy and play games rather than playing 34 minutes a night for a week and then having to sit out for another week. So you could actually say that they're managing him here with a view to actually getting him out there for the rest of the season, which they very well could do.
100%, because they're losing the games anyway. Like you said, they've already got the worst 3 record, and we've seen this with teams before. They're hesitant to shut down their stars because when they've missed a significant amount of time, this again, it's the politics and the business of basketball. Season ticket holders, We've all seen about the revolt in Dallas recently. Well, wait a minute, we only got Zion for X amount of games. Now we're shutting him down. They do want to see the Zion and Trey Murphy kind of thing. They want to see Messi go out there and have a crack, and they want to see CJ and these guys run, especially after losing DeJounte Murray. So it's more of a basketball business decision than it is a basketball decision. And if they're playing him on a minutes cap where they're not pressing for the wins, he is incentivized to go out there. Your last guy, before we get to him, big shout out to our day one sponsors, of course, the Standard Squeeze. Make sure you use the promo code AFS15 to get 15% off your order. And as well, check out our web store for the latest edition of the NBA Fantasy Wear. It is popping up on your screen in the bottom left corner now, and it is down below. Make sure you get that and get it on your back right now throughout February. Whenever someone buys something, we're giving 25% of all profits to the Palisades Elementary School to help our dear friend Dan Bezris from Old Man Sports Network's kids' school out that burnt down in the LA fires. So make sure you get onto that one. And talking of fires, this one guy has been setting the court absolutely ablaze. In recent weeks, he has been within the top 20 players, Kingy. And you think now is the perfect time, the Storm and a T-Pup? P-Cup? D-Cup? Maybe D-Cups. Storm and a D-Cup, let's call it, to get rid of Tari Eason.
Yeah, I think so. So I sent this to you, I don't know what time it was yesterday, but I feel like it was before his game had ended, and then he actually did me a favor by going out and having a very good game yesterday. Where are we? Scroll down.
Well, I hear it right here. There you go.
Yeah, 25 and 9, 4 assists, 3 steals, efficient. Didn't hit his free throw, but that's fine. Yeah, look, the scoring's been up and down a little bit, but he's not someone that you're rostering to get 20 points a night. You hope for double digits, and then you get decent rebound numbers and elite defensive numbers. And that's what he's been doing since he returned from his leg injury. He's missed, so it'll be 4 games that he's missed now, but they're back-to-backs. So that's all part of the plan here. So he's been very good, but post-All-Star break, we are expecting Jabari Smith back on the court. He's penciled in the 21st as his return, so we're looking at about a week. Fred VanVleet will also be back, presumably after the All-Star break. So that's going to impact guys like Tari Eason, Amen Thompson, Dylan Brooks. And so I don't think...
Our fringy Rockets guys.
Yeah, just everyone, really. And we don't know what the rotation is going to look like. More from an Amen Thompson perspective. Is he going to start or not? Not sure. I'm pretty sure Tari Eason won't. He will move back to the bench, I think. And, I mean, his minutes haven't been consistently in the high 30s or mid-30s, but he has played 34, 30, 28, 34, 27, 29. But if we go back to the beginning of the season, he was typically in the low to mid-20s. So, and obviously he's had some issues with that leg, the recurrence of an injury from last season. So he's been playing more minutes and doing more for them. They will be, I assume, more than happy to just scale him back 20%, not push him as hard, have him ready for the playoffs. So I think now is the time to try and move him, because everything is pointing towards his role not disappearing and not being irrelevant, but it's not going to be as significant as it has been the last 2 weeks.
And also a depleted Suns outfit they were against yesterday. There's guys returning. So that plays a factor. Look, he is capable of this, but again, he hadn't scored 20 plus point, as you can see here in the notes, since November 22. So once in every 2 or 3 month kind of 22 outpouring, well, they're also not going to need 22 points from him again. So he goes back to doing what he does best, the rebounds and the defensive stats. But when he's also taking 16 shots in a game, and you can see throughout his game log before he went down, it has been a long time coming back to here in December that he's even been forced to take 16 shots in a basketball game. And he hasn't made more than 3 threes twice since the beginning of January as well. So this is a guy who isn't going to pour it in all of the time. Jabari Smith Jr. on the way back. Fred VanVleet coming back after the All-Star break. So it's all just aligning right now for us to move on from Tari Eason. Very, very quickly, I had him in the sell high show. And especially when you look at these recent numbers here, this is sell high. And he is, according to Basketball Monster, the 15th ranked player in the last 2 weeks as well, based on these incredible percentages throughout, apart from obviously the yesterday, the 0 from 1 from the free throw line, the steals, the defense, the rebounds. He's just bringing it across the board for owners. I know in one league, Kingy, a while ago, he was traded for Joel Embiid. So it was the best offer for Embiid who was out, and this was the best guy who popped up. And now that's like, oh, well, what happens the rest of the way? Embiid's coming back and playing more, and he's not going to be playing more. So this is the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune of fantasy basketball.
Yeah, that's right. And who knows how that trade's going to end up looking, because, as you said, Embiid's playing a little bit more now. Eason is going to be scaled back, but are the Sixers going to pack it in and just let Embiid go and have his surgery and be done for the year? That's what I'd be doing if I was the Sixers,
I'd be doing that.
I'm not the Sixers. And I think Paul George is indicating that he just wants to go and do his podcast and not worry about basketball for 6 months. So we will see what the Sixers do. But yes, as you said, it is the unpredictable nature of fantasy basketball.
And you are listening to Podcast G and Podcast K, not Podcast P, just to be clear as well. Thank you very much. Can you tell us where we can find you, mate, and what you're up to?
Just Twitter and Blue Sky at AdamKing91. Usual shows rolling out daily. Has been 2 a day. Hasn't been 2 a day for the last couple of days, though. I'm just working through some tests and scans and things like that. But should settle back into a normal routine after the All-Star break. I'll probably do some stuff during the break. I don't know what yet.
Same.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be a daily show. It really just depends on the news. If we get no news a day, then I probably won't do a show. So it will be dependent on injuries and updates and all that sort of stuff. But there will at least be some content coming out over the next week. Especially if Mark Williams happens to end up becoming an LA Laker at this point in time. Who knows? Who knows? But you'll find out, courtesy of Kingy and also myself. Make sure you like and subscribe to all things Insight, including our brand new Instagram. The handles are all down below. Everyone takes care. Be well. Okay, see you soon. This is Kingy's 5 moves you must make.